He was just a young Marine trying to be respectful until he asked an old, disabled veteran one simple question. "Sir, what does Reaper 1 mean?" The man froze, the diner went silent, and what he said next made the Marine's hands shake and his drink hit the floor. From that moment, nothing in that diner, or in his life, would ever be the same. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this one. The diner was almost empty when it happened, the kind of place where the coffee never ran out and the jukebox hadn't played a song since the last century. The rain outside beat gently against the windows, wrapping the small roadside diner in a quiet rhythm. A few Marines, freshly off duty from the nearby base, sat near the counter, joking, laughing, and teasing each other about who'd been chewed out worse that week. Among them was Private Logan Hayes, 23, energetic, the kind of Marine who carried both pride and questions in equal measure. He loved listening to war stories, the kind that made you feel small and proud at the same time. But that night, one man in the corner booth caught his attention more than anything else. The man sat alone, nursing a cup of black coffee that had long gone cold. His left leg was metal, a prosthetic, worn but clean. He wasn't wearing any medals or a uniform, but something about him screamed military. It wasn't the haircut or the jacket. It was the posture. His back was straight, his shoulders square, not out of vanity, but because that's how he'd been built. Logan nudged his buddy, Corporal Reed. "You see that guy in the corner? Looks like he's been carved out of stone." Reed glanced over, smirked, and whispered, "Probably some old drill sergeant. Or maybe a colonel who retired before you were born." But Logan noticed something strange, a patch on the man's inner sleeve. A skull with wings. The edges were faded, but the letters underneath it were still visible. Reaper 1. That name, it stuck in Logan's head like an echo he couldn't shake off. When the waitress came by, Logan leaned closer. "Who's that man in the corner?" he asked softly. The waitress smiled warmly, glancing toward him. "That's Jack Mercer. Comes in every Thursday. Never talks much. Always sits in that same booth by the window. Lost his leg years ago overseas." "What about the patch?" Logan asked. Her smile faltered. "Oh, honey, don't ask him about that. Some things, they don't belong in casual conversation." She walked away, but the curiosity inside Logan burned like a fuse. Marines weren't built to walk away from mysteries. He stood up, straightened his jacket, and walked toward the booth. "Excuse me, sir," he said, his voice polite but unsure. "Were you military?" Jack looked up slowly. His eyes were a shade of blue you only saw once, calm but heavy. The kind of eyes that had seen too much. "Once," he said simply, his voice deep and steady. "A long time ago." Logan smiled nervously. "I'm a Marine myself. Just started last year. I noticed your patch, Reaper 1. That sounds like a call sign. What does it mean?" The diner went quiet. The sound of the rain faded. Even the waitress stopped moving for a moment. Jack Mercer's gaze lowered to the patch, his fingers brushing against it lightly, like it carried the weight of a lifetime. When he spoke, his tone was softer, but it carried power. "Son, that name hasn't been spoken in over 20 years. Logan chuckled awkwardly. "It's a pretty badass name, though. Sounds like something out of a movie." Jack's lips curled into the smallest smile, but there was no humor in it. "Yeah," he said, voice distant. "It should have stayed in the movies." He gestured toward the empty seat across from him. "Sit down, Marine. You want to know what it means? Then you're gonna listen all the way through." Logan nodded and sat. His friends stopped laughing. The waitress poured fresh coffee and quietly walked away. Even the hum of the neon sign outside seemed to fade as the story began. "It was 2005, Jack said. Fallujah. The city was chaos. We were surrounded by buildings, shadows, and rooftops filled with eyes that wanted us dead. My team had one job, Overwatch. Keep the boys on the ground safe. We were a 5-man sniper unit positioned across 3 rooftops. Command called our sector the Reaper's Nest, because anything that moved wrong didn't move twice. He paused, eyes far away, like watching ghosts play out in the rain-streaked window. We'd been holding for 2 days straight. No sleep, no sleep, no sleep, no sleep, no food. Then the radio cracked alive. A convoy 2 blocks down was ambushed. No backup, no air support, just chaos. You could hear the panic in their voices. Jack leaned forward. I had a busted leg. Could barely move, but I crawled. Made it to the edge of the roof with 3 rounds left. Just 3. He swallowed hard. I picked my shots. 1, 2, 3. Each one had to count. And somehow it did. 17 Marines made it out that day. 17. Logan's voice was barely a whisper. And the rest? Jack looked down at his metal leg. His voice grew soft. The rest didn't. He closed his eyes. When they pulled me out, I was half gone. Lost my leg. They said the enemy had given me a name. Al-Mawahid. The One Death. My men translated it. Reaper 1. The diner was silent. Reed stared, frozen. The waitress stood by the counter, tears forming in her eyes. Logan's voice cracked. You saved 17 Marines, sir. Jack shook his head slowly.
Oh.
I just did what I was trained to do. But I lost 3 men that day. My brothers. I was their lead. The name Reaper 1, it wasn't given for who I saved. It was given for who I couldn't. Logan stared at him, his throat tightening. You still wear it, though. Jack glanced down at the faded patch. I wear it to remember. To never let myself forget that freedom isn't free. People love calling soldiers heroes. But heroes, he said softly, are just men who carry the faces of the fallen and still keep walking. Logan stood up, holding his drink, but his hand shook so badly that it slipped and spilled across the table. He didn't even react. His eyes were locked on Jack. Sir, he said, his voice trembling, the Corps still needs men like you.
Jack gave a faint smile.
The Corps needs men like you, ones who remember what came before them. Reed finally spoke, his voice quiet. What happened to the 17 you saved? Jack's expression softened. They come here every year. We don't talk about the war. We just sit, eat, laugh, and sometimes cry. But we never forget. The waitress stepped forward, refilling Jack's coffee with shaky hands. On the house, Sergeant Mercer. Jack smiled politely. Not a sergeant anymore, ma'am. Once a Marine, always a Marine, she said quietly. When Logan and the others stepped outside, the rain had stopped. The night smelled like old memories, wet asphalt, diesel, and distant thunder. Reed looked back at the diner and whispered, "He doesn't look like a legend." Logan shook his head. He doesn't have to. That night, Logan sat in his barracks, unable to sleep. The name Reaper 1 echoed in his mind. He opened his laptop and searched the archives. The first thing that appeared made his breath stop. Sergeant Jack Mercer, Silver Star recipient. Operation Phantom Fury. Credited with saving 17 Marines during an ambush in Fallujah. Below the headline was a photo. The same eyes, younger, sharper, standing beside 3 helmets lined neatly in the sand. The next morning, Logan drove back to the diner before dawn. Jack's booth was empty. The coffee cup was gone. In its place lay a folded note. It read, "To the next generation, lead with heart, not fear. Reaper 1 out." Logan sat there for a long time, staring at the note. Then he slipped it into his jacket pocket and gave a slow salute to the empty booth. From that day on, he had Reaper 1 stitched inside his collar, not to wear the name, but to carry its weight. Months later, Logan's unit deployed overseas. During a night patrol, they came under heavy fire. Radios dead. Confusion everywhere. Logan crawled through the dirt, smoke burning his lungs, and found high ground. His rifle was all he had, and the echo of Jack's voice, "Lead with heart, not fear." He took position and began calling out targets, guiding his team to cover one by one. Every shot, every decision, It felt like someone was there beside him. When dawn came, all his men were alive. A reporter later asked him, "How did you stay calm through all that chaos?" Logan smiled faintly. "A ghost helped me." The reporter laughed. "A ghost." Logan looked down at his collar, where the words Reaper 1 were stitched. "Yeah," he whispered. "A ghost named Jack Mercer." Back home, in that same small-town diner, the rain started again. Slow, steady, like a salute from the heavens. The waitress looked at the corner booth, smiled softly, and whispered to no one in particular, "Welcome home, Sergeant." And maybe, just maybe, somewhere beyond the sound of thunder and rain, a familiar voice answered quietly, "Reaper 1 out." And that's how one Marine's question uncovered a legend hidden in plain sight. Heroes don't ask for attention. They leave lessons that echo forever. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe for more powerful tales of courage, sacrifice, and the human spirit.